Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the Confidence Architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we motivate you, we inspire you, and boy, are we going to educate you today. Today's going to be an amazing, amazing day. We got a dear friend of mine. I'll tell you what, she brings a lot of value, a lot of wisdom. So you definitely want to get out your pen and paper and take notes ahead of time. Because remember, when you write down what you hear, you retain over 50% of it. Yes, that's correct. Your own subconscious mind retains over 50% of it. So definitely you want to take some notes. So let's welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, Miss Charlene Brown, and the car goes wild. Woo!
Hey!
Everybody's still screaming for you, Charlene. Welcome,
Great to
Miss
be
Charlene. How you
here.
doing today?
I am excited to be here. Great to be here.
Well, I'm grateful that you're here with us. I know the beautiful soul, beautiful person you are. Do me a favor. Introduce yourself to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, if you don't mind.
Oh, I do not mind at all. My name is Charlene Brown. I am the Brand Misfit, and I help my clients understand how to use their technology and their websites to their advantage rather than as a last ditch effort. They're not sure what's going on. So, no more investing in something that you can't use. I help you plan it out, map it out, and make it a part of your marketing.
The Brand Misfit. How did you come up with that? I'm reading your logo in the back. I'm like, how did you come up with the Misfit?
Yes, well, a good friend, she had a course about, branding yourself as a solopreneur. So I said, you know what, let me take it. Why not? And the way she delivered the information, she had me thinking, you know what, I don't have like a little catchphrase or a nickname for myself. And she was just trying to get me to understand, like, what is it that I do? What do I love? What am I, connected with? How do people know me? And I said, well, I'm usually not all over the place, but I don't have a set thing. I like to test everything. And she was like, you sound like a misfit. You don't really follow rules. You know them, but you don't really follow them. I was like, that's me. So so because I also do branding, she was just like the brand misfit. That sounds like you. I was like, yep, it does. I love it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it definitely makes sense, right? Because we dabble in a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and no wonder I like you so much because I don't like rules either. But I have to be honest with you. I'm like, I don't want no rules. That's like, what are you talking about? My wife tells me to do this. I'm like, I work for myself. Let me go talk to my boss. My boss said I don't have to do it. But no, it's true, right? I think one thing that I love about being an entrepreneur and having our own business is just the freedom that it brings, right? And the
Yes.
freedom to say yes, the freedom to say no. What made you, Charlene? Because I know that there's a lot of amazing, powerful women right now that are listening to this episode, and even men, but really women today, that they have that sense of, I want to step out. And change begins with one step, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
And most people, male or female, Charlene, are not willing to take that first step.
Mm.
What made you want to take that first step, and how did you go about that?
What made me want to take it was seeing so many women in my neighborhood, in my area, Black women who've been around for so long. They were around over 15 years, 20 years. Nobody knew them. Nobody knew who they were. And the issue for them was they were nervous. They didn't know what to do with the website. They didn't know how to get online and how to invest in giving themselves that opportunity to be a standout. They were spending money on print. And when you're outside and you're handing those out back in the day when we're handing out print flyers, you would be grateful
I
if
still do
half,
that. Don't make fun of me.
but no,
Girl, did you see me on the corner?
you would be grateful if half those people you handed these flyers out to came to your event or your store. So I just felt down. Like, why are these amazing people not pulling in the type of people that they should and the amount of people that they should? So it became my journey to make sure that I helped those people get online. And I didn't want it to be something cumbersome for them. I didn't want them to feel nervous about it. I would handle the technology. But what I did want is for them to understand why they were doing it. They needed to have a purpose. And when you tie a purpose to your website, it becomes more than a burden and a chore. It becomes something that you know what, I have to do this. Just like when you get up in the morning and you have a car, you make sure your car is gassed. You make sure that the oil is right. You make sure that the emergency lights, everything is working properly on the car. So I felt that should be the same for the website. If you're going to have it, make sure that everything is working the way it should, and then bring someone on to help you too. You don't have to be the guru for your for your business, but have someone who can help you out.
Let me ask you this: why do you think most people are scared of change? Because it's as simple as a step,
Mm-hmm.
but most people never take that step. So what have you right? Because you're the brand misfit, but I'm pretty sure you've had to hold a couple of hands along the way and say, okay, let me not do it for you, but let me, in a sense, I'm gonna do that part of course, right? But let me walk with you down this path. And what have you learned about just people that they don't want to take that first step and they avoid the change because they
Uh,
need it, they know that.
yeah. A lot of it is the dedication of the time to get to know it and keep it up, the maintaining that same level of care. A lot of folks want it done. They just don't want the minutia. They don't want to be all up in the middle of the grind. They just want to know that it's happened. But to me, it's a disservice if you don't understand why you need to have it happen. And if it takes you 10 minutes, why would it take someone else 30 minutes, an hour? It's all about processes in our businesses, right? We
Mhm.
all know that there's certain things that have to get done. We might not like it. The accountant needs to get done. You need to make sure that certain things are stocked up. If you have an office, you need to make sure that there's materials for people to use. You need to make sure that your electricity, your cable, all of this is done so you can get things situated, right? So you can get things accomplished. So it's really about people saying, okay, I don't want to spend time doing it. Do I need to learn all of this? I don't want to. And my answer is always, no, you don't need to spend time doing it, but you should understand what needs to get done. That way, when you're hiring people, you can build a team that's efficient and a team that you can rely on because you know what they should be doing. You don't need to micromanage them and make sure they get it done. You just know when you see the end results, your team did it right. And that's the best way for you to also set your team up for success. And see, that's a lot of it is the nerves. They don't want to be stuck doing it themselves, but then they feel like, oh, I need to be somewhere else. And that's where the scattered feelings and the processes come in because you're not taking the time to say, okay, you know what? It's 2022. It's the end of the year. I'm not going to get all 30 things on my calendar accomplished that's still outstanding, but maybe if I can just put my energy into one good thing that can take me over the line for next year, I'll be good.
So what's
And
that
no,
one good thing for you? This as we're in the last quarter of 20, I'm going to put you on the spot now, right?
yes,
So
put me on the spot.
what's the one thing that you need to get done before the year is over? What's been looming that you haven't been doing
I need
that
to
you haven't
get
been doing?
my I need to get my marketing together. So I have a strategy. I need to now implement it. So that's my goal for the rest of the year is just to implement marketing, just to put things out. Instagram is on my radar, and so is LinkedIn, just to put more material out there because I'm always creating, but I'm not putting it out so people can see it. So that's my goal for the rest of the year, just to put out my material.
So
Don't create any, huh?
why haven't you put it out there?
Because I've just been stuck in creation mode or I'm working for someone else's creation. So I don't do my own. And I've noticed that and I'm like, ah, Charlene, stop. But then, when you're in that busy session,
Mm.
when do you pull yourself out? And I've been starting to like pull myself out. And I'm telling myself it's okay if you don't create anything today because you've already created things that nobody's even seen yet. So now it's time to just push that out, let people see what you already have.
Yeah, well, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. I love this conversation me and Charlene are having. So, what are you not stepping out in, first of all? You have to take that first step. What are you scared of? Maybe for you, you got your website, you're rocking and rolling. Maybe for you, you're still that 9 to 5, or maybe you're still trading dollars for hours. And not that it's a bad thing, but you know in your heart that God already put that dream in you. Go out there and start the break, or go out there and start that business, whatever it is for you. Maybe it's to be open up a flower shop, or to be a coach, or whatever it may be. You know it, but you're not taking that first step. Why? Just take that first step. Change starts with the first step.
Yes.
And maybe you're that person, you already took that first step, but now you're in business, you left that 9 to 5, but now you're stuck doing nothing, right? You have this knowledge, right? Think about this. Knowledge is the information that we all have. Everybody has knowledge, but the biggest lie that we've been told, Charlene, is that knowledge is power. It's not. We all have understanding, right? We all have the understanding of the information, right? We have a concept, but that's great too.
Right.
But what good is knowledge and understanding if you don't have the wisdom? And you know what the wisdom is? The wisdom is the actual application.
Yes. Yes.
So what are you not applying, ladies and gentlemen, out there? What are you not applying that you already know you need to be doing it? And I love what we're talking about, because this is the truth. We meet so many new people every year. Yeah. Charlene, I want people to write down this word, repurpose. Repurpose your darn content. People don't know. People, believe me, even if you have 5,000 followers on Facebook, only 5% on average see your post. So if you have 5,000, that means 50 people, maybe 100 people see your stuff.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. And then you think, oh no, like post it again 5 months later. I can't do that, Daniel. Yes, you can. Because not everybody saw it. But I say that because what Charlene you're saying, because this is a touchy subject, because you don't want to be the best kept secret, and that's what you're doing. That's what we're doing. When we don't go out there and we don't let our light shine, we're not posting on a consistent basis every day. You're the best kept secret, and you might have the best cookies in all of San Antonio, Texas, but if nobody knows you make cookies, well, you're going to be out of business pretty quick.
Yeah, and a part of that too was listening to gurus telling me the best way to show up, right? So everybody right now, it's all about video, but a lot of the content I have is written or audio. And I could use that, but I was holding on to say, oh, okay, I got to redo everything in video. And I was like, you know what? Why? I had to come to terms with this like a few weeks ago. Why would I need to sit down and recreate it? Just put it out. Put it out in whatever form it is, because just like at one point people thought ebooks weren't any good. People didn't want to read anymore. Don't write a book anymore. Now you see the surge of people writing books again, because the readers never went away, right? They just weren't always put to the forefront. Just like how the video viewers are being pushed to the forefront now, the readers had their chances as well. And they're still coming back saying, yes, be an author, write. But it's always been something that was good. You just have to know, what do you like? Where do you stand strong in? And not chase the algorithms, not chase the current trends. Be proficient. You always hear people say be consistent, right? So be consistent, but be proficient in what you can do. If you have written content, you're a writer, then write. Why would you stop yourself from writing?
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because when I hired my marketing company, they do when you put a post with a picture, it gets engagement, but when you write like at the top the context around it, it gets more engagement, because it has more meaning than just that. Because you have your readers, you have your kinetic people, you have your visual people, you have your audible, you have all, right? There's 4 different main ones, but people don't realize that. So what have you learned about yourself that, since you've been in business, what's a big challenge that you had to get over? Because people are listening to us, are saying, Daniel, Charlene, you're amazing, right? But y'all are already over the hump. But Charlene wasn't always where she's at. What was a big mountain you had to get over that you learned about yourself that really challenged you?
I had 2 things that I had to get over. One, I could not help everybody. It just was not feasible. And 2, I needed to stop being afraid to ask for what I wanted. And part of that was my fees, that how do I want people to invest in me? And I needed to be upfront about it and say, look, I have over 22 years. I study all the time about this. I have a master's in this. I'm in the middle of my doctorate about this same thing that I'm helping you accomplish. I deserve this. And not be afraid about it, because you know a lot of times people are scared, and I'm not scared about money. It's always that, and it's because it happened already. Telling someone my worth and then them giving me a look or questioning that, and then I was like questioning myself, and I'm like, darn, are they right? And I'm like, no, they're not right. Because then when I sit down and I write all my accomplishments out, I'm like, wait a minute, people who not even half of what I've done, who don't have half of what I've done, they're not afraid to ask for way more than what I'm doing. And then I do so much. So I'm like, you know what? I give, I'm good. I don't have to feel bad about that part. Now it's okay that I ask for what I'm worth, because there's no reason that God and the universe have put so many people in front of me and in my life to tell me you are worth this. You should be doing more, asking for more. Why are you only doing it for this? What's going on? And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, you're right. You're right. So now I have to start taking action. And that was my hurdle for years. It was just like, I'm nervous. Like, will anybody come? And people come. People come. And it's just that's what really allows me to align myself with the next layer of clients, the clients who are ready to do the work, who are ready to work with me. And then I can also educate them and they're taking it in. So when they're ready to build their teams, I don't have to be a part of that team, but I can help guide the team. And then that's where the transition comes in, right? So it's not just I'm doing it for you, but I'm doing it really with you. That's the ultimate goal. I want to do it with you. I want to see you succeed. And if you build a team, I want to help your team succeed. But it doesn't have to all be on me, because then that's where now it's not enough for me to go around. But if I can help your team and I can help you train your team, that's the next best thing. And then
Well,
you always
I love
have
what you're saying though, because so many people undervalue themselves. So many people don't I remember one time I was there studying, and this is what God put in my heart. If you don't put the intention out in the world, you're never gonna attract the client to that price point.
yeah.
If you never put the intent, write that down, ladies and gentlemen. If you never put the intention out there in the world, if you never put that intention out there, how do you ever expect to attract the right clients at that price point?
Right.
And I love the way you said it, right? Because I know I've struggled with that. I never forget when God told me to, what did he told me take your speaking fees from 1,000 to 2,000. I was like, what? Ain't nobody gonna hire me. I go, God, I'm already getting hired as it is. But you know, the funniest thing is when I raised my price to 2,000, I got more book speaking engagements.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes, raise it another 500. I just did it. He goes, raise it. And I'm like, wow. And now, right, it's between 5 and 10,000, depending how far I travel or how long the speech is. But I never imagined that. And but the thing is this is that most people, it's kind of like a deflection because they don't know how to receive.
Right.
So did you have to learn how to receive at a higher level? Does that make sense for the question I'm asking?
It does. And I think that's where I did have some of that, because then I started questioning, am I giving enough? You know, I'm asking for this and I know I deserve this, but then am I giving enough? When mind you, you can be giving everything and the kitchen sink and you're still questioning, but will they see value? But then it wasn't for them to see it. I had to put in that energy and I had to put in the value for them, and I had to break it down to them, because if they already didn't understand why they needed a website, I needed to let them see why I needed to help them guide through that process, and why my process was a certain way. Because when I work with you, I try to capture everything, and it becomes overwhelming, but then that's why you have someone with you on that journey, because it becomes a lot. There's so much you have to remember. You have to maintain things. You have to pay for certain things. So you want to make sure that while you're doing this, you're not doing it to a standpoint of you're giving away all of your energy and getting little back. or you're starting to be resentful. And that's where I was like, I don't ever want to be resentful of a client. So I have to make this worth my while or cut people off altogether.
Well, I think what you're saying too is, I want the audience to hear this, is that when you put the intention out there, you start to attract the right clients too.
Exactly.
Because I think what happens is, when you undercharge, or you charge too little, you attract, from my experience, and I want to get your perspective on this, you attract the clients you got to babysit, or that are codependent, maybe is the word, right? They're I don't want to say needy, because needy is not a good word, but they just rely on us too much to say.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a client that'll pay you double what that person paid you, and they don't even question you. They're just like, yeah, it's a higher energy, because they just think differently. Not that they're better, not that one client's better than the other, but it's just a higher quality of a person, because they think differently. They see the value. They're not trying to get. They're not that person. Maybe this is it. They're not that person that's always trying to get something for free. And
Right.
people try to get everything for free sometimes. And I get it. I mean, I've been there when I started off, but there comes a point where you got to start invest. Like, you got to truly start investing money
Mm-hmm.
in your business. And I just spoke to this gentleman who was like, well, and this other, I had like three people tell me this last past month. I really want to be a speaker. I'm like, well, great. Well, can I go and volunteer at your speaking academy? I'm like, look, I appreciate the fact that you want to volunteer and help, but first of all, you can't volunteer enough to pay for the ticket. And second of all, we really don't take mentorships or interns like that, because that's not our model, right? It's
Right.
you invest $49.95. We give you a professional speaking reel. We give you more than what you pay for, and that's just our model, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. And but I say that because, not that we don't help people, right? We definitely
Mhm.
work out payment plans or whatever, but there comes a point where you're going to have to make that investment in yourself. Do you agree with that or no?
I totally agree, because that's when you know, also, that's when you know, okay, they're ready. This person's ready to take it seriously, because you can do all the things in the world for someone, but if they don't take it seriously, it's going to lapse back. It's not going to go anywhere. It's almost like you're pouring your cup into someone who has a hole in the bottom. So they're never retaining anything. It's never flourishing into anything. So you're just looking like, okay, I could have done this with three other people and they would have done what they needed to do. So either you're a lesson for me or something else is happening. I need to rearrange how I'm attracting you. And I think that is more energy than we need to be giving off, if that's not the level we're at anymore, because everyone starts at a certain level where they're giving away a ton.
Yes.
But as we grow our own businesses, we now have to delegate our time differently. And clients who ask for so much and give back so little, to me, it's a time of a waste, because they're not getting anything out of it. And that's
Yes.
why I've changed my services years ago from done for you to done with you, because I have to let them know this is a process for both of us. And this is something that when you're going through it and you're learning, if there's something that not coming through, that allows me to know, okay, I need to tweak something, because it's either too high level or it's not enough information. What do I need to break down? But when you have a client who's giving you the feedback, when you have a client who's doing the work, and you can see, okay, I see this is going on, okay, wait, you missed this, okay, that's it's more of a give and take. At that point it becomes a real
Yes.
partnership. And that's what I think a lot of us like, is that partnership of seeing them grow. But they're growing not just because you're telling them what to do, but they're also seeing the information, they're taking the information, and then they're applying it for what they need it for. And
Yes.
to me, that's the best thing. Like, right? It's the
Well,
best thing.
yeah, because you're right, and it goes back to what you said at the beginning, when you said the two things you had to overcome. You realize that not everybody, right? You're not for everybody, and not
Mhm.
everybody's gonna like you, and not everybody's gonna agree with the way you do your business, and it's okay. And I think it goes back to being that kid, because for y'all listening out there, as adults, you really make decisions based on the kid you were. So
Yes.
if you were an insecure kid, and you were like me, right? I was that chubby little kid, that fat little kid that people pick on. It's like you're always trying to say yes to get people's approvals, and then it's like, well, not everybody's gonna like Daniel Gomez. And even though you want
Mhm.
everybody to like Daniel and Charlene and Joe and Mary and everybody else, you're not for everybody. And
Exactly.
I think what helped me, Charlene, was really when I started saying no, people started getting like, why are you saying no? You should say yes to everything. And then you find out, right? They not that they got mad, but you can tell, right? There was some tension there with Daniel. You should say yes. Why is he saying no? And then because God said this, right? Because you're going a different direction. Your path. Think about what you said. The gurus said this. Well, a lot of gurus went out of business during COVID because
Oh yeah.
apparently they weren't guru enough. But it's just the truth, right? The so-called gurus are the ones that sometimes they're too smart for themselves because they don't keep learning. They stop growing and they think they know it all.
Right.
But that's kind of what you said, not intentionally, but you said that they gave you the wrong information. And the thing is this is that when you understand your personality type, how you do business, how you want to be perceived in the marketplace, and what works for somebody else might not work for you.
Exactly.
And it's not you're not for everybody, I'm not for everybody. But what everybody else does also may not be for you. So stop saying yes to a lot of things and really this is what's helped me a lot is making decisions based on my values now, right? What are my core values? And that's what I loved about you, right? You love Jesus, I love Jesus. So hey, that's a huge bond right there. I mean, seriously. So if somebody comes to me and says, well, I'm thinking about this, I'm like, I know Charlene Brown.
Yeah. And it's really what you're saying is how do you align yourself? And it took a little bit for me to sit down and I mean I knew what my values were, but I never wrote them out. So then it was harder for me not to see them and remember them. So I had to make sure that I can visually see and understand what they were, drive them into me, and then make them a part of the business. Because I had to not be afraid of that. And that's where the brand misfit concept came in, where yes, I'm not going to do things typically. Do I know how to do it? Of course I do. But I'm allowing myself the freedom to break a couple of the rules and allow myself to say, you know what? It's okay if we don't do it this way. Let's fit it for you. Let's figure out how we can do it your way. That's why when I have my clients, that's the first thing I ask is what's the purpose of your business?
Yeah.
That's the best way to understand, okay, this is a type of website we can build for you. So you're not with a cookie cutter. But if you're not ready to talk about that, if you don't understand your own business enough to explain it to someone else, then how can they ever do something that makes you stand out online? Online is one of the hardest places to really stand out for visibility because everybody is almost doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What is the hardest thing you had to overcome in business?
In business, I would say it was tracking my processes because the way I think, things changed a lot. So I had to sit down and track and make something a standard. Right. So for me, I was like, oh God, do I want to do this? But I had to because to bring other people on with me, they needed a standard. They at least needed what would be my skeleton. What would be like, don't go below this line. Everything else we can have fun with, but this is a must. We have to do at least this much. So yeah, for me, it was creating the standard so other people can come in and help me.
I love that. So in life, what's been the biggest personal challenge you've had to overcome yourself? Not business, but in life.
In life, celebrating my wins, celebrating myself. I've been a child of I've been an introvert and a single baby. So I'm just like, okay. I never made it a big deal when I did something. That wasn't how I came up. And it was not a bad thing. It's just as I got older, I was like, I don't really celebrate too much. And when I tell people certain things, they're like, what? We didn't know that. I was like, eh.
Yeah. So
But
so let me ask you this. Why do you why is it a bad thing not to celebrate yourself? Because there's people listening to themselves, they're listening to our conversation right now, they're listening to this episode and they're like, I never thought about that.
it's
And
a
I actually
bad
talk,
thing. It's a
yeah.
it's a bad thing because then you don't understand your worth. You don't get to understand all that you've accomplished. When you don't celebrate what you've done, you don't see all of that, because then you're in the journey, and you don't get to take a time and, take a step back and sit down, smell the roses, like you hear some people say, and then just look at all that you've accomplished and say, wow, I did have a good life so far. Or, I've come through a lot, even if it was troubling things, right? But you've made it. You made it on the other end. So if you don't get a chance to sit down and celebrate that, then you're always feeling like you're in that rat race. You're always feeling like you're on a journey. You never stop. And then when you're writing these things out and saying to yourself, "Oh, I have a goal. Let me write down this goal," and you have accomplished that goal, but then you just wrote another goal, so you're trying to get to that next goal, and so you're just almost like Hansel and Gretel, right? You're dropping all these breadcrumbs. So now you're on your way home, and you're just collecting them. You're not stopping to say, "Oh, look at where I came from, that I'm on my way back home, and look at all the adventures that I had." You're not doing that. Instead, you're just so busy picking up the breadcrumbs, because goal, 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 accomplish, accomplish. And then at the end of your life, you're like, oh, I never celebrated any of this. And when you're telling, and I see it sometimes with other people, when they tell their stories, the folks that are listening, they're like, wow, you did all of that. And they're like, yeah, I did. And it's like the realization comes either late, or it never really hits them until someone else is giving them that accolade. So yeah, it can be bad to not celebrate your wins and taking that time out, because you miss it. You miss a lot of that.
Do you think that's because as we're kids, we hear this? I mean, I've heard this over and over from my own parents, and then I heard my friends' parents say this. And I think we hear many adults say this, right? Is, well, don't get your hopes up, Charlene. Don't get your hopes up, Daniel, because if you don't get that job, if you don't make the team, we don't want you to be disappointed. So don't get your hopes up. Does that
Mhm.
teach somebody, right, not to get their expectations to a higher level? So in return, we don't expect, right? We dim our lights. I was like, yeah, why celebrate myself? Because I've been told my whole life, don't get your
Right,
hopes
because
up.
I think with that, then you set yourself up not to go after things. For me, it was always be seen and not heard type of situation. Because I was always around adults, so kids shouldn't be seen. I mean, kids shouldn't be heard. So I would always be quiet. I would always be the quiet one. I would always observe things. So I guess I was living the life of the person on the sideline. I'm cheering everybody else on, but then I'm not setting myself up to be cheered, because I'm not trying to be in the spotlight, and I'm not trying to be heard, and I'm not trying to be taken notice. So I think that's where it was the downfall. I would say downfall in that sense for me, because I didn't know how to celebrate things like that. I just felt like you're doing what you're supposed to do, kind of thing. So why
Yeah.
celebrate something that you're supposed to do? It's almost like you're
It's part
cleaning
of
your
your job. Just do it.
yeah, it's your job. Or for a kid, you're cleaning your room. What do you want? You want a cookie? Like that's what you're supposed to do. So so it's like, after having that type of a life, then you're saying to yourself as an adult, okay. So it's the same thing, but it's not the same words, but you're still acting the same way.
So, ladies and gentlemen, ask yourself right now, where are you not celebrating yourself? Where are you not maybe grateful to another level that, wow, look at what I've been given, what I've accomplished? Like celebrate your, not just the big wins, but sometimes it's even better to celebrate the smaller wins, ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
So I want you to write down, what do you need to celebrate that you haven't celebrated? Maybe you did get a promotion at work and you're thinking, well, I don't want to be bragging, I don't want to be showing off. It's not showing off or bragging, it's celebrating what God's blessed you with. Think
Got it.
about what Charlene said. You got to let your light shine, because sometimes you might inspire somebody or encourage somebody. And maybe you're like, well, I don't like attention. Daniel. It's not about liking attention, but it's just when you celebrate yourself, it builds your self-esteem, it builds your confidence. And it shows gratitude to some certain extent, because you're grateful for what the opportunity and the victory you have. Because you're never going to get that bigger victory if you don't have the gratitude. You have the ingratitude, but that's going to like make things worse for you. So think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Where do you really need to celebrate yourself in life? Charlene, what's a scripture or a quote that you rely on during a time of adversity? A scripture or a quote that you rely on a time of adversity?
Oh, there's a couple, but let me think. Well, one quote that I always tell myself, and it's because I was just trying to come to terms with certain clients that I had early in my career. And it was, if you won't invest in yourself, why would anyone else? And it also made me think about that too. Like there's things that I want to do. So I need to start to invest better. Not just invest in everything, but invest better. What really truly would help me get to that next level. So all of that just got me to think about how to really set myself up for that success that I wanted, and what is it that I really wanted. Not that what did my heart kind of sort of desire, what do I hear other people talking about, but what would make me happy at the end of the day, even if it was by myself, I'm in my little house. What would I look back and smile at and say, okay, I'm glad I did that, I'm glad I took that adventure, I'm glad I worked with so and so. So it was all about coming back to saying to myself, if I won't invest in myself, why would anyone else? And I
I
say that
love
all the
that.
time with clients as well.
It's the truth, because if you
Mhm.
don't see the value in yourself, how do you expect others to see the value in you?
Exactly.
And I mean, and people, right? People see us how we see ourselves.
Yes,
So if we don't see
exactly.
the value in ourselves, how we can't get mad when people don't see the value within us.
Yeah.
And
And it
many
goes
people,
back to every time you're looking at other people's energy and you're just taking, then you have to catch yourself and say, And one thing that I remember, it was a story. I want to say it was the Giving Tree, but it was a story of a young boy who grew into a man, and there was a tree outside and they kept using the tree, and she was just willingly allowing them, yes, take the branch, take this, take the trunk for your warmth and everything. And to the point that the tree ended up being like nothing but a stump. And the person came back as an older person and was like, oh, I need someplace to sit down or something like to that effect. And the tree was like, yeah, use me, I'm here as a stump. And I'm looking at it, and the story is actually used for people as a encouragement. And I'm like, encouraging to who? And because I kept thinking of it from the tree standpoint, I'm like, but the tree gave its all just to end up as a stump. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be that tree. And then I don't want to be the guy who just kept taking. Because why not water the tree? Why not make sure that you did something else for the tree? Put other flowers around the tree. I don't know. That's just how I saw the story. Other people might see it differently, but I don't want to be the
yeah,
tree.
I loved our time together. Where do we get a hold of you? Somebody's heard this amazing episode with you, Charlene. How did they get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me at my website, Brooklyn Custom Designs, BKLYN, customdesigns.com. Head on over to my About page, learn more about me. You can check out my blog at brooklyncustomdesigns.com/articles. And of course, on LinkedIn, we can connect on LinkedIn. I have my live shows. I have Real Talk with Carl Sean Watkins on Tuesdays and Thursdays on LinkedIn at 10 a.m. Eastern. And I have my shows on Tuesday nights with Shri Mahabir. That's Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. And I also have my other show with Carl Sean Watkins, Credible Vulnerability, where we talk about everything and anything from web designs to being vulnerable and being in corporate, and just allowing people to see who you truly are.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Charlene, today. You've been a big, big blessing. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the wrap for this week's episode. It's been amazing. And if you're stuck in life and business, go to danielgomezglobal.com, do our entrepreneur assessment there. We want to help you. And send us a message to our website there on danielgomezglobal.com. And better yet, go to Eventbrite right now and attend here November 18th and 19th in San Antonio, Texas. Yes, live, the makings of a Millionaire Mind Bootcamp is going to radically change your life. It's going to significantly change your business. It's going to increase your bottom line. It's going to raise the bar in every aspect of your life. So go to Eventbrite right now, November 18th and 19th here in San Antonio, Texas, the Makings of a Millionaire Mind Bootcamp. And better yet, before you come to the conference, go get our book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, at themakingsofamillionairemind.com. Get your autographed copy today. I promise you, the transformations that have been happening, the impact, it's been amazing. So don't miss out. We want to significantly make a difference in your life, in your business. Until next week, we'll see you back again with another amazing guest on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show.
This is Daniel Gomez, and thank you so much for tuning into our show today. We'd love your feedback. Please drop us a comment, and thank you for leaving us a review. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and share this episode with a friend. And my free gift for listening to our show today is a copy of my best-selling book, You Were Born to Fly. To get your free copy, go to DanielGomezInspires.com and get your copy today. That's DanielGomezInspires.com. And to elevate your life and business even more, follow me on social media at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence.